at CNBC for the Xfinity Series, 1:30. Then Sunday, 2 o'clock on USA Network. This is Sprint Cup Series, taking on Watkins Glen International. Again, on Sunday, that'll be the USA Network. Where you will find us, Kevin Harvick. Back out on the racetrack, trying to find a little more speed, Dave.
Just checked in with the team, Rick, and they're talking about a little bit of freeness he's had all day and a little bit of wheel hop they've been trying to adjust out of the car. And interesting on the wheel hop issue, I heard you guys talking about it earlier, and I checked with the AP brake folks who do about 75% of the garage as far as brakes go. He said one of the things that drivers have to keep in mind is sometimes you can actually dial in rear brake to reduce that hop because it puts the rear end of the car in the track a little bit better, Jeff. What do you think of that? It sounds counterintuitive.
Well, it's something that never worked for me. Let me just say that. My first instinct would be to get front brake put into it, and there are some situations where you could have, you need rear brake to help set the car on the racetrack, but the first try is going to be taking rear brake out.
Well, the question is the wheel hop from braking, or is it downshifting? Some can be driven by the driveline, but this guy, Kevin Harvick, he knows how to run fast at Watkins Glen, Rick, so close a year ago.
Yeah, we saw how close he could get to the win 1 year ago, and it was fuel that was the issue for Kevin Harvick. Thought he could get all the way to the end. The last turn could not stay in front of the 22 of Joey Logano as he ran out. We got to turn 6 and into 7.
It ran just for 1 second there. You could hear the engine fire back up. He picked up enough fuel just to run just for 1 second. I think Harvick's like, well, it's running again. Got into the back of Logano, but that's that close it can be, winning or losing.
Well, and I think you said it the best, picked up. When we talk about fuel mileage, Rick, one of the issues we're going to see here is when these cars change direction. You watch Kevin Harvick. He's going to climb the S's. So not only is there elevation, but changing directions, right and left and back right again. It's going to, how do you get all the fuel out of the fuel cell into the pickup? When you go in an oval, it all goes back into that one little corner of the fuel cell. Very efficient to get it all. But here at Watkins Glen, it's very easy to have fuel still left in the fuel cell, but you can't get it up to the engine.
We've talked about the differences that they've made with the cars, the fuel cell, the same way. The pickups in different areas in the fuel cell so that they can't pick up as much fuel as possible. Kevin Harvick would have probably died for about another quarter gallon of gas that would have got him at least to the finish and been able to hold off Joey Logano, but did not have that amount of fuel as he ran out of gas about right here last year.
Rick, another great shot. We've talked a lot about AJ Allmendinger and how stressful this weekend's going to be for him. Currently 7th on the board, but he's carrying that hammer that's kind of over his shoulders, looking out the front windshield. So it's a great vantage point of understanding what the driver's looking for the curves. If you see how blind that is climbing the hill, how the driver, you were actually talking to Harrison, who's running the K&N race, about how you have to pick a mark on the guardrail. You can't look at the track going up through the S's.
Yeah, you just can't see the way you normally want to see. Watch him downshift. He's third. Now he's second into the inner loop. Accelerate as quickly as you can. And he's going to stay. And you hear how rough it is. We talked about it. We watched the cars go across there. But when you can actually hear how rough it is, see inside the car, those curves are big and they are rough. So go to third gear here.
The interesting to see if he goes to fourth. Each team does something different here.
He's going to stay in third.
Second.
Now you heard the engine rev up when he put it into second. That wasn't because he put it in second. That was because he put throttle to it before he put it into second to keep the engine from revving up too much. If you don't do that, it'll blow the engine up.
I think this is one of the hardest braking zones right here in this downshift to get the timing right.
This is the wheel hop area we talked about because it is downhill. Now you're going to accelerate and kind of get over this curve. That curve tends to make the car pretty loose, but if you don't use all the racetrack, you're not pushing as hard as you need to be pushing.
Now here's the fastest area. He's in third gear. When does he want to go to fourth? Some shift early, some shift at the top of the hill.
And he didn't get to the S's real clean right there. You heard him having to get out of the throttle. Got on the curves a little bit too hard, it seemed like. So neat when you go over that curve and you hear it when it lands, and you hear that noise when it lands.
But you hear it right on board. This shows you why mechanical failures happen. You see how violent this racetrack is, not just in the braking and accelerating, but up and over those curves.
And remember, when the car hits the curb, I mean, we're watching how violent it is, but think about the suspension. Think about all the stuff that's bolted to the race car that ultimately hooks to the tire. That suspension has taken all of that shock. And the shocks, the springs, the lower control arms, every bit of that movement suspension has to absorb that energy.
The last lap, Allmendinger's last lap was 71 seconds. His fastest lap is 70.5 seconds. And the difference between those two, he's gone 14 laps. So, excuse me, 9 laps between the two.
I wasn't going to call it your name.
I know, I was doing athletically. But it was 9 laps between his fastest lap, which was lap 16.
Look at the roll bar padding. The roll bar padding's come off of the cage right by his head. So the roll bar padding's come off. And I know that's a little thing, because honestly, the driver's head should never get to that part anyway. But when you're having a day where the brakes don't work the way you want, things aren't going just right, and the padding comes off, it just adds to it. It just adds to that much more. Guys, are we ready? Are we here to race? Are we prepared? And not that it's a big thing, but it's just one more little thing that adds to the frustration.
Zeros on the practice clock for the Sprint Cup Series as that ends the first practice of the day. And with that, you see Jeff Gordon bringing the 88 back in. Dale Earnhardt Jr. tweeted, "Was nervous to do it, but I'm glad I came to Watkins Glen today. It was cool to visit with friends, from fans to media, teams, and drivers."